Hi guys, Martin Curry from Belief Media. I'm just going to show you something very quickly. It's looking back on one of the features I introduced in a video about 8-10 weeks, maybe 3 months ago or something. Something we've used for years and years. And I just want to show you how it's been copied. Every time we introduce a feature, a couple of weeks later, kind of the broad, I won't call them the financial marketing community because that's giving them status that they don't deserve. I'll just call them the Facebook marketing guys. Try and introduce what we introduce. Now it's funny, it normally takes about 1 to 2 weeks before they all catch up, and it's all of, well, I say all of them, about 5 of them specifically, and we know, who they are in all of our groups that feed this information through the other guy. But we leave them there because we want them to improve upon their experience. We don't like the fact that these guys are, producing really bad, ineffectual campaigns. That leads me on to something I'm going to talk about towards the end, and it's a standing $20,000 guarantee against non-functional marketing. I'll come back and talk about that in a second. First of all, you're looking at just our Yabba landing page template. All right, remember there are 2 landing pages on our site, both within your actual site. And I'll hopefully remember to talk about that in just a second because it's something that's irritating me a little. So Yabba landing pages are about 100 landing pages that are managed by us. We can feed them to your site as we need to. So as there's a new program introduced by government at any level, or a new lender that introduces a certain policy and makes certain programs available, we're able to push that into your site immediately, and then all of our Facebook guys, all of those guys actively running campaigns, get a notification and they can run that. So it normally takes them about 30 minutes. It's very, very quick. The time it takes to set up a landing page and an ad, about 15 minutes. Right, the first ad takes a little bit longer because we have to set up Facebook and everything else. Now I'm just going to have a look at this landing page, and this is what I want to talk about. And it's just this floating header and footer, right? So this is the floating header and footer towards the header towards the top, single row, and then you've got this second row here that slides underneath, right? But that fits onto the header, and then you've got the footer bar. This footer bar text is customizable. The only reason there's a rate in there is because it was part of a demo that we used, and I just haven't changed that. The back to top text will show if there's no form on the page. If a form is identified on the page, it will show, oh boy, excuse me. It will show complete form or back to form or text of your choosing. All of that is defined in Yabba. So you define it once. It can be defined differently across different landing page types, first home buyers, investing, refinancing, all sorts of stuff. So you can show different information. Obviously, most of the time it's fairly generic because it's fairly generic information across the top, and it's that. The logo here as well, by the way, where it says demonstration website, that is usually excluded. Okay, there's a different way of doing that. And I'll show you that in a different video because there are different ways in which you can render that. It can be whitified, so it can be desaturated if you like, and we convert it into white, and then that's sort of along the left here and stuff. Or you can use it down floating towards the bottom, or it's a floating logo. There's so many ways that can be applied. In general, if I create landing pages, I just exclude it and I put the company name in that second row or across the top. So contact, blah, blah, only if the company name's long. Certainly down this grey scale or this grey heading is a great way to have your company name if you want to exclude the logo. The reason we exclude the logo is because it takes up too much screen real estate. The primary viewport is for the conversion function, nothing else. And that's that. Now it's a really good, and by the way, the customizable colors and all sorts of things apply. It is good. It is a really necessary function on your page. Now I recorded this dodgy thing about an hour ago. I've seen it a ton of times, and I'm just going to show you one guy's landing page. It's a template landing page from our CMS. This here. Right now, we've seen this in 2 formats. One, it doesn't stick, so it doesn't float, and the other, it floats. Now, in this one here, it takes up more than 25% of the screen. 25% of the screen, and in half of them, the buttons don't work. It's just crazy. Excuse me. And with the Facebook pop-ups here, by the way, about 60% of the viewport is available sometimes. It is the single word, and this information here, by the way, some of this is just grossly non-compliant, and this landing page is non-compliant for a bunch of reasons. I've fed it to the managed group, and I've gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, stuff I don't do in our standard group. The modals, I object to modals for your standard primary call to action because it requires another click. Remember, any click, anything you ask of anybody above what's required will objectively decrease conversions. These forms are absolute garbage at the moment. Half of them don't work, and I wish I could scream at the industry and just say, stop using this garbage. Save up to $80,000. I'm sick of seeing that. Everyone says the same stuff. I'm really frustrated. You can probably tell I'm really frustrated with a lot of what people are doing in the industry. It's like they're not brokers. It's like they don't understand that they're a mortgage broking company, and they lean in towards the information that is perceived to be important a lot of the time without all the necessary all this fluff and everything else. The primary purpose of a landing page is lost, and certainly the guy behind this. I'm very sorry about the coughing, guys. I can't mute myself. I'm just recording on a screencast thing, and I've been sick for about 6 weeks, as has my whole family. School holidays, all home, awesome. So look at this logo in the left-hand side here. It's a little black square. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't say anything. That whole thing, there is a free plugin. If you're using something as stupid and as idiotic as what is shown on the screen now, right, contact me. If you can't find it on our website, contact me and I'll send you a free plugin that installs those 2 sliders and the footer slider. All right, and it's conditional, so they'll only show on certain pages and based on the category to which they're assigned, certainly on your website, or the URL for those sites that aren't WordPress. It will show, back to form, back to top, whatever. It shows all that stuff. I created that for free, so there were people that were able to use it. So give me a call on 0400 777 300, and I'll just send that to you. Right? Don't use the clumsiest goddamn solution. I'm sick of seeing this, and I just wish that these people would pick up their game. This is illustrative of somebody that's using a templated landing page and then is required to add something but doesn't have any skill. So they hack together something based on the tools that are available to them, and this is the result. Now that's going to decrease landing pages. And by the way, that button doesn't work on Edge browsers. So it's a small percentage of people, and it doesn't work on Facebook's embed Chromium. So that button is moot anyhow. It's pointless. So you have to scroll to some other button somewhere to launch the modal. Now, in most cases, you should never, ever, ever, ever launch to a modal on a landing page. Remember, the primary purpose, the core function of the page is the conversion, okay? And that's one of the big points I wanted to make, is don't use modals unless they're a secondary source or they're required on the periphery, or you don't service the primary objective by way of the form that's presented. So, this is not what I'm interested in. I'm actually interested in refinancing, or I'm actually a nurse, I'm actually a doctor. When you give people those options, and they can bounce back through. One guy recently, I saw something from one guy recently and said, don't fall for these fancy complex funnels. And he's talking about us. And he said, you just want it ready in 2 hours. Guys, our landing pages, once you've done the first one, our landing pages are created for you. They're not even, it's not even 1 second. They're just there, ready to be used. The ad itself takes about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes based on our creative or with sort of AI support. So I'm going to go through this at the end of the month. I'm leaving it to the end of the month because I want a couple of guys to jump on our website, so we've got a few more people attending. And I'll introduce all this stuff to you. And the other thing I want to talk about is I had that $1 million guarantee against those really poor products. Like, the broker grows about 75 to 80% of all these pages don't work at the moment. To the credit of BizLeads, it's just their performance and everything else that's poor. But most of their forms work. In the tests we've done, about over 90% work. But certainly broker grows 75% of everything is broken, 100% is non-compliant. and he's the guy that goes out and tries to copy everything we do, and he just does so poorly. If he called me up to ensure that his brokers have an experience that is both compliant and functional, I would give him the tools in order to get better results, and I'll tell him the dozen things that he's doing seriously wrong. So I'm getting really frustrated. But in terms of our landing pages, these buttons also, they can be squeezed together, they can be excluded because we've already got all these options here. The call us now, inquire, they're all listed there. It is at the bottom of the landing page, and it really does just offer a buffer to the compliance thing there. There are a couple of compliance elements that we do have to add to that as for the default compliance footer, and I'll just pull up the references to that. In fact, I met up with ASIC the other day and got some references to, so NCCP section 113, whatever that is, the Core Pack section 9428. There's a whole bunch of references here. The Australian National Consumer Credit Protection Act 2000, section 113. There's a whole bunch of little, there's about 12 or 13 references I've been given here. And the information I've got from ASIC is not one broker in the country is doing what I have now decided to introduce. They said they wouldn't prosecute on the basis of those references I've just described. They said they wouldn't prosecute because, you know, they're obscure and they're not as meaningful as the compliance infractions that are demonstrated by the guys like Broker Grow. But, you know, we pride ourselves on compliance, so I'll ensure that those other elements are included. So that's that, guys. Our website, Cheap as Chips, it is the bee's knees. And I'm sharing a whole bunch of screenshots to some of our groups at the moment in order just to demonstrate why and how our Facebook campaigns perform so well, because it's the follow-up that often converts more than the campaign itself. So you can convert so much follow-up and organic traffic on the basis of having a genuine funnel-centric and conditional website experience. Again, don't fall for the nonsense that other people are saying where it's complicated, takes time to set up. As I'll show you at the end of the month, it takes 0 time to set up because it is literally set up already. So give me a call, guys, 0400 777 300. Bye-bye.